Okay, welcome to the October 1st regular meeting of the Town of Neepawa. First order of business is to approve the agenda. So be it resolved that we hereby approve the regular meeting agenda for October 1st, moved by Councillor Bottinger, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next, we will approve the minutes. Be it resolved that we hereby approve the minutes of the regular meeting held September 17th, 2024 as circulated. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Sisley. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so we have a couple minutes here before the public meeting, so maybe we'll have some council reports. Councillor Bottinger.
We had a beautiful Plains medical clinic committee meeting where we approved the expenditure for new solid surface flooring in the exam rooms that currently have carpet. So that'll be a nice improvement over there. And also the new bench has arrived and is out front and is ready for all your sitting needs, because that was a long time coming. So now we have a beautiful bench and you should drive by and see it. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Nadeau.
On September 18th, we had a Westlake employment meeting, and it's just typical business. We're really still working hard and trying to help serve all the residents in the community with their employment searching and employment skill building. On September 18th, I also went to a library meeting with the WMRL. Just some information to share with you. It is the second largest library system in Manitoba. We're going to be working on our budget at the next meeting, so we're going to get it on October 16th, so I'll be able to share at that point with you later in the month. It probably won't come till November, I guess, and then we're going to be voting on it in November. I was able to spend some time this past week just talking with our new librarian, Caitlin, at the library. Everything's going really well, she was saying. Later this week, I get to go for some of those extra subcommittee meetings that you get tied into with the Strategic Planning Committee to do some future planning, and some ideas already being proposed and thought of is a bookmobile idea for our region here, where we would get a library on wheels coming to our area and to help bring books to people, just some new books also all at the same time. We're looking to get more hours at our library, and it's looking like for 2025 that Neepawa has set for additional hours for Thursday and Saturday to have 2 people working as opposed to 1. So we're looking at 8 hours more for our programming assistant, and we're also looking to increase to a total of 12 hours per week. We're also looking to increase the library clerk that we have at the library. Some of our stats, some of our people online there and out in the audience are wondering, in June we had 1,400 items checked out or used at the library. In July, 2,024, so quite a big jump. And then in August, 1,888 items. So it's really neat. Some of the tidbits in July at the library, we had at the hippie group from Settlement Services come and do story time in the craft, and grade 2 HMK came for a visit just before the summer, and Touchwood came to explore the library a lot. In August, we had our programming assistant here unfortunately had to leave us to go to university, but we had a monster scavenger hunt at the library that saw over 50 kids take part in this activity, and that's really neat. Another meeting, the last meeting I'll tell you about, is the Rossburn Subdivision Trail Association meeting. And we talked about, we have a couple storybooks along the trail similar to ours, and there's a couple Indigenous authors that we were able to secure books from. And it's something that we have the potential with our recreation person to help borrow and trade books for the trail, so that would be really good. Just to remind everyone that there's no motorized vehicles on our trail. We're seeing more and more quads and vehicles riding on the trail. That's not allowed on the trail. In the winter, skidoos are allowed. That's the only motorized vehicle because it helps keep the trail solid. And of course, it's meant for pedestrians and people on bikes, but no quads or side-by-sides or trucks or cars. Now, we started this mowing project with the trail where the town didn't have to mow the trail. And we only have a small section of trail, mainly heading north out of Neepawa, number 5, that this is the section, unfortunately, about, I want to say 8 miles out, our mower broke down this year. It was an interesting breakdown. The factory forgot to put factory oil in it, so it made it that far though. So it was really, everyone was surprised because it's not a common mishap, but unfortunately we're not able to finish the last little bit of trail. However, our neighbor Rosedale said if they're out, like they're doing their part, that they might just finish it right to the end for us. So if we're able to just give it another extra trim just before winter, that really helps with catching the snow properly. So yeah, we continue to meet and talk, and that's a group that likes to talk. It's quite a late meeting each night. So there's a lot of interested people for the Trans-Canada Trail, and always a lot to share with you guys. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we'll switch gears here and move into our public hearing meeting. So, to start off here, be it resolved that we do now open this public hearing to representation to bylaw 3231-24, being a bylaw to amend the town of Neepawa zoning bylaw 3184-18. Moved by Councillor Kostenchuk, seconded by Councillor Sisley. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, I guess you're up.
Sure. So this is bylaw 3231-24, and the general intent of this bylaw is to redesignate a portion of land from AR-R agricultural restricted residential zone to MH industrial heavy zone and AR-C agricultural restricted commercial zone to CH commercial highway zone. And the amendment is required to accommodate growth and development in the town of Neepawa. The area affected is part of the northeast quarter of section 32, township 14, range 15, west of the principal meridian, and precisely with roll numbers 6400, plan 56267, and eastern part of the main parcel A, fronting Highway 5, as shown outlined in the map provided. So this bylaw has been, under the act, has been circulated to the neighboring property owners. It's been provided to regional planning for comments by provincial departments. It's been in the newspaper on 2 occasions and sent to neighboring property owners. From that, I received, read the report to council from regional planning. So just to start off with, so the Brandon Community Planning Office has no concerns with the proposed amendment. There was a couple comments from a couple of the provincial departments. First one, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure Highways Branch. MTI does not object, but has provided the following conditions. The developer provides written confirmation that sufficient information has been provided to our technical services engineer in order to determine if a drainage from the site may adversely affect the provincial highway drainage system. If necessary, our regional office may request the applicant to submit a detailed drainage plan prepared by qualified experts. Please note that the cost of this study and any revisions of the highway drainage system directly associated with the proposed development will be responsibility of the developer. The developer provides written confirmation that from our department that we have received and approved a traffic impact study for this development. The traffic impact study will have to be prepared by a qualified transportation engineer. It will identify the amount and type of traffic that will be generated by the development and on-highway improvements that will be required to safely accommodate the traffic generated by this development. The cost of this traffic impact study and any required on-highway improvements would be responsibility of the developer. The applicant will either enter into an agreement with the department for the construction of the on-highway improvements. Contact information provided. Second one was a historic resources branch, and no further action is required specific to the current application at this time, as there's no imminent plans for activities which will cause ground disturbance. Future development, notably the development footprint is located along a waterway corridor and near numerous known archaeological sites. These factors, although not exclusive to the analysis, indicate a reason to believe that any future planned ground disturbance activity and/or development within the area has the potential to impact heritage resources. Therefore, the Historic Resources Branch has no concerns with future development and wishes to give guidance notice that an HRIA may be required if any details of the current application undergo modification, or if future work necessitates a change to the plans, the applicant is contact HRB for reevaluation. And a third one was by Manitoba Environment, Climate, Drainage and Water Rights Licensing Branch. And the responsibility lies on the local government or planning district to ensure that all bylaws, zoning bylaws, development plans and amendments, and therefore are in compliance with the Water Rights Act, the Water Rights Regulation and policies, procedures and requirements of the Drainage and Water Rights License Branch. And then there was some information required. So those were the comments received from regional planning. I've also received one from the public by email. If you want me to read that now, or?
Yep, go ahead.
Yep. So this response is from Gary and Elaine Tully to the letter received from the Town of Neepawa RE, the bylaw number 323124, being an amendment to the Town of Neepawa zoning bylaw. We own the land in the Town of Neepawa northwest limits, north of the described parcel for rezoning across the road, described as Southwest 4, 1515 West, and part of Southeast 4, 1515 West, comprising of approximately 250 acres. It is currently zoned AR-R. It is the same designation as the land the town wishes to change to MH. By definition, in the zoning descriptions, the MH zone designates the heavy industrial zone. It is described as providing for development of uses and activities which may have an effect on safety, use, amenity, or enjoyment of adjacent or nearby sites due to nuisance factors including appearance, noise, odor, emissions, or dangerous and hazardous goods. It is the responsibility of council to consider any concerns of residents and landowners in close proximity to the proposed change of zoning. The amendment is described as required to accommodate growth and development in the Town of Neepawa. The residents adjacent ratepayers also have a right to consider how this decision might impact their investment, housing, land, etc. Decisions made by the current and future town councils will have major consequences to the success of Neepawa's growth going forward. Some points to consider in decision making. Property values. Surrounding ratepayers purchased their properties in good faith with the designation they agreed to in either the AR-R or AR-C zones. Location. How close in proximity will the proposed MH zone be to current and possible future residential areas? Traffic. Where will traffic flow? Potential issues onto PTH5. Buffer zone. Will a green area around the perimeter lessen the impact on neighboring residents and landowners? Heavy industrial. It is often located in an outlying area. The Town of Neepawa currently has this type of industry being long established near the core area, close to housing and schools. In the future plan, you don't want to build around this type of activity for a variety of reasons, including safety to residents. Potential new MH activities and development could be better located toward the extreme western boundary of the proposed MH zone, connecting an existing road to Highway 16 access. Also, shunting of rail cars could occur with less disruption to PTH traffic entering and departing the town. It would be challenging to develop residential properties on our land across the road, either by town or private investors, in the short or long term. It is important as present or future council to keep your options open. The idea of Town of Neepawa acquiring land to develop is exciting going forward. Decisions made will have major consequences in guiding growth and the ultimate success of the Town of Neepawa. As the rezoning pertains to this area, we would ask that consideration be given to harmonizing this area with the current residents and ratepayers adjacent to this proposal, being Hurl Road and PTH 5. We know it is early in the overall planning process. However, this move by council is only the early days of actual development of the area. Many studies and approvals, changes to design, etc. will have to be made by various levels of governance. We would like to see Neepawa move forward to take on the many challenges it faces. However, we do not support this amendment at this time. Little or no supporting documentation has been offered to make an informed response. As a council or current house or land ratepayer, do we want this type of development in our backyard? Respectfully submitted and shared on October 1st, 2024, and that was signed by Gary and Elaine Tully.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Maybe I'll ask, I see some of our other neighbors from out there, the K-backs, if you want to grab an extra chair and just come up and, if you want, I'm presuming you're coming to speak to the bylaw? Okay.
So we basically have the same concerns that the other letter has, right? Our houses have been there, ours has probably been there 70+ years for sure, right? And I do expect that agricultural zoning is better for my property value than this heavy industrial for sure. We're thinking the same as him, that if this is going forward, that we would like some kind of buffer, right? It's not our particular house that's right close, but there is a house that's, 20 feet from this line.
Our land is right up against the
Yes.
heavy industrial area as well, so.
Yeah, right, like, to me, when you read the same as that guy said, where it says the heavy industrial can affect the safety, use, amenity, enjoyment of adjacent buildings, right? Even when you go back one step to the light industrial or to the commercial type thing you're putting on the highway, it doesn't have that same ammonia could be stored, chemicals could be produced, all sorts of things that B does. That we're wondering about some kind of buffer between our properties and where you start that second thing, or whether we want that thing like the other property owner is discussing, right? We're an obviously wet corner of Neepawa, we all know that, right? So maybe a ditch needs to exist, right? But somebody changing what's out in that corner, all those fields drain across our properties for sure in the spring, right? And so water is always a concern for us. And we still have a well. I didn't think anyone else had a well, but I think the people across the road on the other side of Hurl Road, they also have a well still that they use. So I mean, that's something for us to think about too, that if our well no longer becomes useful because of these kind of developments, right? So that was most of our concerns, I think, right?
Yeah, and that well we installed, which we've been here talking about this before, but that well we installed when we first moved there, and all of our utilities were, let's say, no longer useful. So we had a new field approved at the time, and a new well installed at the time because town water wasn't available and sewer still isn't available in the area. Town water is now available to our lot. It was installed in front of my shop, I suppose, so if we were to ever hook up to it, it'd be at a pretty hefty expense to us again, on top of what we've already spent to have filtered and protected water for our house. We'd have to cross underneath our driveway, which is not great for a water line either. The current amendment which shows that heavy industrial coming right up adjacent to our properties, again with no buffer like was mentioned by the other property owner. And I thought that leaves it wide open, let's say, for somebody to back up their ammonia tanks to that tree line, right? I know there's certain things in there, the 500 feet buffer zone is listed in the heavy industrial description. But with that being zone heavy industrial without the built-in buffer zone, I feel like that leaves it open for future issues. I don't know, what else? I mean, we bought there with it, agricultural commercial, is kind of what we were zoned. We've always been told that, you know, you could expect that type of thing move in next to you, and we've kind of prepared for that. Heavy industrial is very different from what we knowingly signed up for in the beginning. So that's our concern, is if we have, I don't know if there's already thoughts about what's moving out there, or if there's development plans out there. Likely, I'm guessing.
No, I wouldn't say that, no.
No. So,
No, we, you know, our situation is the town was in a crunch for housing, and so.
yeah, which I understand.
Yeah, so that was our primary objective.
I feel like the jump straight to heavy industrial is pretty drastic if you don't have plans in the works already or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, anything else you want to bring up? I know.
I'm not so concerned about the, along the highway part,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It was always kind of in that, it was, yeah,
That's basically the same as we
It's
were
not gonna
already
change it what it was,
signed up for,
right?
right?
it's that heavy industrial
Basically.
thing that's a little bit concerning, right?
Again, it will increase the traffic, and I'm sure there's lots of studies and plans to come with that, but that back road is barely travelable as it is most times of the year. So, but that's a whole separate issue.
Okay, does anyone here have any questions of either K-Bucks or Jeff? No? Okay, well, thank you for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just waste one of my- Okay, any other questions before we wrap up here? If not, be it resolved that we do now adjourn this public meeting at 7:20. Moved by Councillor Kostenchuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Deputy Mayor Parrott?
Okay, so, we'll start with what we did Wednesday. You know, like across Manitoba, we have lots of great organizations. You know, Boys Vein has Prairie Partners, and Minnedosa has the Frontier Trading Post, and we have the Touchwood Park Association. And you know, going there Wednesday morning for their celebration of their playground there, which was just like absolutely fantastic. And it was another entity brought to Neepawa by a lot of volunteers and hardworking community members. And each of these communities, you know, where I happen to know things are, they're heavily supported by the volunteer group and dedicated employees all along. So, you know, like, kudos to that. So Touchwood Park now has a wonderful playground facility that is super soft. I can fall off anything and not get hurt. And you know, it's built to be under the accessibility law. So that was pretty super. And we even got to eat. Well, we had this other thing on Tuesday here. And I'd really love to be able to tell you who all was here, but they had so many cool names, like for the groups that they were representing. And they came here, spent the whole morning in here, and then we went out, had a lunch and a bit of a meeting. And then they did a tour of Neepawa and area to look at all the things that have been happening around here and how they've been happening. And the ones I can remember, we had representation from the World Trade Center here, Tourism Manitoba, the Provincial Chamber of Commerce and Local Chamber of Commerce. PCL Construction had representation here. We had a fellow that was dealing with manufacturing in Manitoba, and he was wanting a list of all the different little different groups around our area that were doing manufacturing, so he could help them out with their increasing their market share. So that was all real fine and dandy, but the highlight was, after the introductions were done, it was an opportunity for myself, the EDO, and our CAO to do a presentation as to what Neepawa is all about. You know, why we are here, what we're doing to succeed. And then the questions started, and it was a very good experience to see how we were able to show the rest of the province what a great community we have. And there was one coined phrase which I now forget, but it was, you know, about Neepawa.
That we're open for business.
Well, there is that one. That's not the one that anyway, you remember, you go. It was great. Neepawa was showcased.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Murray. Councillor Sisley.
So I've been to a few meetings in the last little while. September 20th, I attended a meeting with the seniors at the Yellowhead Manor. I attended that with Mayor Headley. It was providing an opportunity for community members to ask questions and for NEC TV to showcase the various services available for seniors in our community. The meeting is actually now airing on NEC TV, and I highly recommend it to any seniors looking for information about town services and programs, or with concerns they wish to address. There was a ton of discussion that was very insightful on it. We maybe didn't have the number of people show up to the meeting, but we're very happy that NEC TV is showcasing it, and that everybody can catch it at home and maybe get some information out of it. It was very, very good. September 24th, I was at the meeting with welcoming the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce members, and was here for those discussions in the morning, which was very, very good discussions with those members. And it was an excellent opportunity for us to be able to guide them through Neepawa and highlight everything our community has to offer. Was at the lunch, the opening of the accessible playground on the 25th, which is just fantastic. If anybody hasn't been there to see that playground, it is very, very cool. And what Touchwood has done to bring that to our community is huge. That was not a small task. This has been in the works for Touchwood for years to be able to see this come to fruition. I'm sure for some of the board members it was pretty exciting. September 27th, this past Friday, the town of Neepawa and Arts Forward hosted the 4th annual Indigenous Culture Day. We estimate that we had just over 2,200 people in attendance. That's based on the Bannock numbers that went out to everybody, and we do thank the high school home ec class for helping us make sure that we could ensure we had all of that Bannock. It was a tremendous success, and it was very inspiring to see the youth engage with the beauty of the Indigenous culture. And the day marks another step forward in our journey towards reconciliation. So it was very exciting, very exciting. We have the bat houses that are starting to be installed around Riverbend. 7 out of 10 are already sponsored. If your business is interested in sponsoring one, please contact Cass at Neepawa Recreation. The upcoming babysitting course on October 25th filled up within 8 hours of registration openings. So keep your eye out for more courses. They'll be coming up in the next upcoming months. Campground was closed to bookings October 1st. The last day was September 30th. People can still camp, but there is no guarantee there will be any services, especially as the weather is colder. Our water will be shut off down there. And if you have a business idea and are ready to pitch it, consider participating in the What's the Big Idea event on October 12th. For more information on that, please contact Marilyn at the town office.
Good. Thanks, Yvonne. Anyone else? Okay, Manager of Operations, Denise.
So we've had staff and contractors rather busy. It's kind of that final push before winter comes. So between staff and contractors, we've been working on the Main Street drainage project, just going down the Brown Hill. So we installed a substantial amount of pipe there. We just did 2 catch basins and we're having some concrete drains created right now to kind of catch that water. We're waiting on some more material and some additional locates so that we can continue that project all the way up to Brown Avenue where we can catch the balance of the water coming off of Brown. Staff completed the Crocus Avenue dig where they serviced new 10-plex proposed there. So that would be the extension of the water ends, or sewer extension and the water tap-ins for those. Wastewater treatment plants, I've been visiting that one with our staff, and the commissioning seems to be working well. No major hurdles or design flaws at this point. Nothing that's too crazy. So yeah, I commend the staff for working on that one and figuring it out, because it's a neat facility. I'll have to tour you guys through once. It's pretty neat. Material has been ordered and is starting to arrive for the land drainage project on Hampton Street in front of the new hospital. So once we receive all the material on that one, we'll continue on that project. And once we start wrapping that one up, or as it's digging, we'll start the road construction there as well. So we can extend that project in front of the hospital. Concrete repairs have been ongoing around town. Actually, we pulled our contractor to work on this drainage project, but hopefully we can get them back on and doing those spot repairs around town. I have not issued out the Dutch elm disease tender, but that's probably going to be going out this week, so we'll be posting that on social media and invitation and calling out to our local contractors so that we can get some bids on that one. With all the winds we've been receiving lately, remind residents just to kind of, if there's any branches or debris that falls, just please pull it aside to the boulevard. Staff will get to it when they have an opportunity. If there's big stuff, please call it in and we can have our reverse come and remove it if there's something dangerous. But we will have contractors going around. We'll do a deadfall trimming, so we'll up and down every single street and do another heavy trim. I have not posted a yard waste pickup, compost pickup program as of yet. I'm waiting for a good frost so that we see stuff start to fall dramatically, but I imagine in the coming weeks, again, just keep your eyes peeled to the town's social media page and we'll post something once we start doing yard waste pickup.
Excellent. Okay, any questions of Denise? No? If not, thank you. The other thing too is we had the grandchildren out this weekend and took them out to Rotary Park, Park Lake, and boy, for anybody that hasn't been out there, this is the time to go with all the colors and the geese, and had a lot of fun. Okay, moving on, correspondence, Colleen.
Letter from Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation for the hard work and dedication you consistently demonstrate in serving our town. While it is often the case that you receive feedback in the form of complaints and concerns, we want to make sure that alongside addressing this urgent matter, we also acknowledge and thank you for your ongoing efforts to make Neepawa a better place for all residents. Your commitment to our community does not go unnoticed, and we are grateful for the work you do. On behalf of the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce and our 110 members, we are writing to express our collective concerns regarding the current condition of the roads, sidewalks, and curbs within our community. As representatives of the business voice in Neepawa, it is our duty to bring attention to issues that significantly impact the local economy and the well-being of our residents and visitors. It has come to our attention through member and visitor feedback that the poor state of our roads is causing considerable concern. Vehicles are at risk of damage, and this perception alone may deter both locals and visitors from traveling to Neepawa. Such a deterrent may lead to a decline in economic activity, directly affecting the vitality of our businesses and the community at large. We understand that the Town Council has allocated budgets and planned contingencies for road repairs. However, it is evident that these plans have not been able to be executed in a timely manner as the roads remain in a state of significant disrepair. This is concerning given the recent MCC Provincial Economic Development Tour and Your Town Rising Tour passing through our community. The current condition of our infrastructure does not reflect the pride and potential of Neepawa and could leave a negative impression on those visiting our town. In addition to the roads, we would like to highlight the importance of maintaining and improving the sidewalks and curbs, including the installation of more ramps to business areas. These improvements not only enhance accessibility, but also contribute to the overall appeal and safety of our town. Our members and visitors have specifically raised these issues, underscoring the need for attention. We encourage the town council to reevaluate the existing plans and explore any possible avenues to expedite the necessary repairs and improvements. Addressing these concerns promptly will not only enhance the safety and satisfaction of our residents and visitors, but also bolster the economic resilience of Neepawa. Thank you for your attention to this critical matter. We look forward to your response and any action to ensure that Neepawa continues to thrive as a welcoming and prosperous community.
Yes, we are totally aware of our nice warm freeze-thaw winter that really aggressively deteriorated the streets around town. Yes, we have plans in place, and yes, we'll be reviewing a lot more in the coming months as well. So. Okay.
The next one's from the Beautiful Plains Community Medical Clinic Committee. The Beautiful Plains Community Medical Clinic's Recruitment and Retention Committee would like to thank you for your continued support towards medical recruitment and retention. Annual grant contributions from the town of Neepawa, the RM of Glenelg Lansdowne, the RM of North Cypress Langford, and the RM of Rosedale provide our board with a combined $6,500 annually towards the recruitment of new physicians to the community, as well as the retention of those currently practicing. Traditionally, these funds were used sparingly to foster personal relationships and offer small monetary assistance to physicians on an as-needed basis. Examples of previous spending include stays at Elkhorn Resort, dinners and gatherings, hosting medical students, moving expenses, or offsetting clinic overhead. Amidst the national physician shortage, we are faced with the new unfortunate reality that communities are now competing against each other for physicians. Previously, recruitment occurred primarily through networking and interprofessional relationships. A notable shift has occurred in which monetary offers and signing bonuses are the new norm and perhaps the most hard-hitting recruitment tool. Unfortunately, we are unable to compete if the current grant amount remains stable. On behalf of the committee, I am requesting an increase in the annual grant contributions provided by each municipality. The board has proposed an increase that is equitable for each of the 4 municipalities and is based on a population size and levying a $2 per capita from the ratepayers. This would increase the town of Neepawa's annual contribution from $2,500 to $11,370 based on the 2021 census population of 5,685. The previous amount was remained unchanged since 2011. The 3 other municipalities in our region will also be presented with a proportionate increase as well. We recognize that this is a significant increase, but we are hopeful that it will improve the likelihood of securing more physicians and in turn provide better primary care to our community.
I would just comment there that our last NATCO meeting, I brought this to the partners at NATCO and asked them going forward in their budgeting consideration that Neepawa had already discussed increasing our contribution, and I threw out $2 and said perhaps that's not the right number, but at least start the discussions, and the neighboring municipalities nodded that they would take it back and discuss increasing their contribution. So it started.
Yeah, no, that's positive.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll move on to finance. So September accounts, be it resolved that we approve the accounts for September totaling $540,983.69 as reviewed and representing checks 2024-01607 to 2024-01693 and EFT numbers 102 to 188, but excluding 2024-01634 and 2024-0164. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councillor Gerard and myself will remove ourselves due to conflict.
We have a resolution here, be it resolved that we approve check 2024-01634 and 2024-01674 for September 2024 to Home Hardware and Neepawa Gladstone Co-op totaling $7,147.20. Moved by Councilor Sicily, seconded by Councilor Nadeau. All those in favor? And that is carried.
This is just an administrative thing. Every year, we ask you to pass a resolution for our tax sale, which will be held on November 6th, to allow us to set the reserve bid at the cost owing for tax arrears and any tax sale costs.
Any questions? Okay, so the motion reads, whereas pursuant to section 372 of the Municipal Act, municipality we set any terms and conditions for the sale of property to be sold for taxes and may set a reserve bid in the amount of the tax arrears and costs in respect of property. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Neepawa place a reserve bid on all properties to be offered for sale on November 6, 2024, in the amount of all tax arrears and costs and subject to the conditions as outlined in the notice of public auction dated September 18th. Okay, moved by Councillor Pottinger, seconded by Councillor Sisley. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Supplemental taxes.
Administratively, every year we receive any additions to the tax roll and any deletions to the tax roll. So for this particular year, taxes that are going to be added will amount to $50,591.51, and those that were deleted are $4,741.08. So a net benefit of added taxes of $45,850.43, and we just need a resolution to add those to the tax roll.
Any questions? If not, resolution reads, be it resolved that in accordance with section 326 of the Municipal Act of the Council of the Town of Neepawa, approve supplementary additions and deletions to the 2024 tax roll as per information received from the Provincial Assessment Branch. A detailed listing is attached on Schedule A and reflects a net added value, tax value of $45,850.43. Moved by Councillor Kostanchuk, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Incentive application.
So one of those supplementary taxes for addition to the roll was for a fitness center in town here. They've applied for a development incentive under bylaw 3176-17. Upon receiving the assessed value from the assessment branch, they did qualify for a progressive tax incentive, whereby we would add 50% of the assessment onto the roll for a 2-year period. They qualified under section 2.14 for the commercial tax incentive by reaching the threshold of $500,000. So I'm just asking for council to approve the issuance of that incentive and the ability to capture the first year in the supplemental year of 2024.
Questions?
Is this, with this ongoing, if it meets all the requirements, would it require resolutions from now on, or is this always going to require resolutions?
So what Deputy Mayor Perry is referring to, we're actually, I'm right now considering amending our development incentive bylaw to adjust it for the fact that as we grow in development, we purchase 320 acres, there could be applications come in that maybe don't need being brought to the table. So the goal in that bylaw is there's going to be clauses to say as long as the criteria is met and the math and the equations work out, there should be no need for council to approve it by resolution. The staff will simply approve that and sign it with, of course, the chairman of finance doing the other part of the audit trail to make sure everything's, so no worry. But this bylaw requires them to come to council.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, whereas 1013005 Manitoba Limited has constructed a new fitness center at 345 First Avenue, and whereas they've submitted an application under bylaw number 3176-17 to be considered for development incentive, whereas the town of Neepawa is now in receipt of the 2024 supplemental assessment information confirming that 101130058 Manitoba Limited has met the required assessment threshold deeming them eligible for development assessment. Therefore, be it resolved that we approve the application of 101-30058 Manitoba Limited, providing for a development incentive as per Section 2.14 of Bylaw 3176-17, resulting in the phasing into the general municipal portion of taxes over two-year terms starting in 2004. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Sisley. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Outstanding utility accounts.
Same thing, administrative, we're just adding all of those accounts that are deemed uncollectible for utilities to add them to the tax roll as allowed under the Municipal Act.
Okay, any questions? Whereas Section 252 of the Municipal Act authorizes a municipality to collect debts in the same manner as a tax may be collected or enforced under the Act. Whereas there are outstanding utility charges which remain unpaid and uncollectible, therefore be it resolved that we approve adding the following list of utility accounts to the tax roll. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Pottinger. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business, Colby?
I probably did this in the wrong order, but I'll speak to them in the order they're in. The first one is a permission package regarding the raw water pipeline that's going to go along PGH 5 under Manitoba Water Services Board Contract 1742. This is the 20 of the raw water line that we're going to conduct from the well system up to the water plant. So the first one I need a resolution on is an agreement with the Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure. So for works that happen in the right of way, should there be liability or otherwise, we've added them as an insured to our policy. And so this basically allows us to work in the right of way and agree with Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure that we'll make sure that, you know, if we cause any issues, we'll remedy all of those kinds of things.
Okay, questions? Be it resolved that the town of Neepawa enter into agreement with the province of Manitoba for the construction and maintenance of 300 raw water line pipeline within the control limits of and along PH number 5 in southeast and northeast 041315 and southeast northeast 09 1315, southeast northeast 16 1315 and southeast 21 1315 in the municipality of North Cypress Langford within the town of Neepawa, Manitoba Water Services Board Contract 1742. Moved by Councillor Sisley, seconded by Councillor Kostenchuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So what are we on here? Tenders?
191. 9.2 on the agenda.
That's the Oberon. We just did that.
Rob Smith,
And we're on the Rob Smith. Okay, go ahead.
do you want to go to it?
Sure, so through a partnership with Manitoba Water Services Board and our consultants, the Oberon Well project was designed and implemented and tendered through the board. This involves the twinning of the raw water line servicing the original Oberon well, as we're adding a new third well site just east of the Oberon existing well, so it's be closer to Highway 5. We need the addition of a well site there, and again, the twinning so we can push the volume of water. It's to be noted that we're not increasing the allocation of water that we're taking from the aquifer. This is merely a safety measure so that we could focus on different wells if we have mechanical failure occurring at one of them. So this third well site still falls within our water rights license. We just need to upsize the pipes because we're changing them from more volume from that one little corner now on a rotated basis. So 7 bids were received. 5 of the 7 were underneath the engineer's estimate, which is pretty cool. Low bid ended up going to Rob Smith and Son, so local bid, at 1.9 million, when the engineer's estimate was 2.4.
Okay, any questions?
So like, why are we doing another water line?
Sounds like redundancy, Councillor Bird.
We're getting a new hospital over. So this, just so the public knows, with the new hospital in play, we've looped the water. We've done everything in our power to make sure there's a consistent supply of raw water to our treatment plant. And this project initially was supposed to have a booster. That kind of, once it was reviewed and researched, the better route to go was to actually do the twinning of the raw water line. So we went that route instead. So we're just advancing ourselves along to make sure we have a raw water supply. But stay tuned, because we'll probably have to do a plant expansion sometime. None of that, though, impacts a bigger draw of water. So the public needs to know that. That's our ability to get our water here and treat our water. So, like I say, we have to be very cautious that we're not getting more water than we're already allocated.
So further to this redundancy, we were struck by lightning again this summer, and we had a well site go down. So in the meantime of waiting for all the parts and the electrical components to be repaired, we've increased flow out of, say, the Hummerston well site while the Oberon gets fixed. So now that we have 3 to choose from, they go on a rotated basis so that it'll actually reduce water consumption at each location, because we'll have less draw time at each of them now. So in concerned years of drought, it should actually be a lot more appeasing to the territory.
Perfect answer, thank you.
Okay, motion reads, be it resolved that we accept the tender of Rob Smith and Son Backhoe Trucking in the amount of $1,985,045.15 for the Oberon well mechanization and the twinning of the raw water supply pipeline to Neepawa Water Treatment Plant. Moved by Councillor Nadeau, seconded by Councillor Kostenchuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, bylaws, Colleen.
So the first one is just the first 2 resolutions are second and third reading to the cemetery maintenance and fee bylaw. Basically, as we mentioned before, just the wording in there, more specific to the sizing of basically, what can exist on a lot, that kind of thing. Nothing significant changed in there. The prices are actually remaining the same for the next triennial period, so no increases. It's just a wording, cleaning up of a bylaw, really, is all it is, unless there's something I missed, Jody. So second and third reading, we're asking.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw number 3232-24 being bylaw of the town of Neepawa, providing for regulation, maintenance, care, and operation of the Neepawa Riverside Cemetery be now read for a second time. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, and then third reading, be it resolved that bylaw number 3232-24 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa providing for the regulation, maintenance, care, and operation of the Neepawa Riverside Cemetery be now read for the third time and passed. So moved by Councillor Sisley, seconded by Councillor Pottinger. As recorded vote, all in favor? And against? And that's carried. Okay, our next bylaw.
So this is bylaw 3231-24. This is the zoning amendment that you heard earlier in a public hearing. We're only asking you at this time to go to second reading. That will give you time to absorb what you heard this evening. Just to be clear though, if If you had sufficient amount of objectors to this bylaw, meaning 25 electors of the municipality or 50% of the people that were given a notice that were within 100 meters of the proposed zoning amendment, that would be constituted as sufficient objectors to actually have a notice sent to those objecting. You could only give a second reading of the bylaw, and then if they objected again and there was sufficient again, then it would proceed eventually to the municipal board. We would have to notify them. So I would propose to you, I'm not certain of the exact number that went out for notices. Not saying the 2 tonight shouldn't be considered, because they absolutely will. We want to make sure everybody's happy with what is proposed, but they would not qualify as sufficient. So technically tonight you could have gave second and third reading. We're not asking you to do that. We're going to show due diligence and only get second reading tonight. Give the period between now and the next meeting to consider whether you will proceed or whatever you want to do with it.
Okay. Everybody else understood that? Be it resolved that bylaw number 3231-24 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to amend the town of Neepawa zoning bylaw 3184-18 be now read for a second time. Moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott.
Can we, sorry, I wasn't sure if you were gonna ask the question. Am I putting you on the spot, Jeff, to ask how many letters were sent out?
28-ish total, but the town had 4 of them. So I probably think actual was 23-ish,
Okay.
something like that.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Is there any other business before we wrap up?
I just wanted to mention that October 15th, Andy Van is doing more stuff to try and help raise some money for them. So they are going to be having a chili on a bun lunch at Arts Forward. So they're hoping that they can get a good chunk of the community out to help support them. So.
Can I make one point? It might be time to raise the rates. They haven't been raised for quite a long time, and it's a service that's not supporting itself.
Okay. Any other announcements? If not, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa do now adjourn this meeting at 7:55. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councilor Kostenchuk. All in favor? Opposed?